Hello and welcome. This will be a commentary for a Superliminal Glitchless speedrun. This is my current PB, so let's get started. So first we just want to move this out of the way and then put this box down so we can make this jump perfectly. This is the first one that's a bit trickier, where we grab this cube, turn around, move backwards. I failed this once. And resize it so we can have the perfect size to jump up there. Because in this game, every time you don't perfectly hit a ledge, you will get a ledge grab animation. And that's slightly slower, so we always try to avoid it. In this part we will resize this cheese under the door frame because that's slightly faster. Here we don't use the cube and instead use the wooden plank because that's faster than resizing the cube. Then resizing this cube on the wall, and move to this button. Here we place this so it falls on the other side, and then we also move sideways, so in case the button is not landing on the cube is not landing on the button, like in this case, we can just quickly adjust it and it should be good to go. So here we want to use this sign to put it on both buttons. So we move to it first so it's already big, and then we just have to rotate it. Here we will grab the cheese and resize it, because only if objects are big enough, you will be able to activate the physics, and then you can just slam it into the walls, and that's the end of the first level. So here you will notice after the fade in is done, I'm already moving. That's because after the loading text disappears, we can already control our character, and then while it's still black, we can move out of the little bedroom we are always waking up in and get to the hallway. So this will happen a few times where you can see that I'm already moving in the hallway. We grab this sign and resize it as we go, and then put it at an angle there so we can jump up. Here's some precise jumping to make it over there. Here we go in a specific spot so we can get this cube. And here we will use something called box jumping, where we resize as we are on top of the object, which is done by just jumping and then grabbing and releasing again with some precise timing. Here using the railings because that's slightly faster, because we can cut the corner. Here once again going in a specific spot so we can get the cube. Jump up here and move this piece out of the way so we can continue. In this next part, we actually need to grab the moon, because once we rotate it, we can see there's this little portal, and then we resize it under this lamp, and then we can go through. Again, resizing objects is quicker if you're under something that's under a ceiling basically that's lower. So we often do that. And now it's time for Cubism. This level is obviously all about cubes, and that's always fun. For the first part though, we will skip the cube actually, and instead of using a cube that is on the right side, we will just jump up this, then we can make a jump there. Here again, instead of using two parts of this button, we can just use one by resizing it as we go. Just move this out of the way. And here, instead of resizing any of these cubes, we can just make two jumps. Also, you notice I'm always jumping at slopes because that's slightly faster. Here we will just use this one side, put it in the right place, so we can perfectly jump up. This cube will explode into small cubes, which is slightly random, so something to watch out for. And then here, once we are basically on the ground, slightly before we're on the ground, we want to jump. And that way we can jump over one of these pieces from the cube that's falling apart and move straight backwards into the elevator. Now it's time for Blackout. This one is, basically a horror theme, horror themed level. But you will see at the end of the level that it's not actually that bad, because you will see in a bit. It first appears as if there are blood stains all over the place, but at the end of the level you will see that it's just paint. So we move this gas canister out of the way so we can jump over this table, then go here left into the darkness to end up here. Jump over some obstacles for optimal movement, and then here we are supposed to move over a small maze, I guess. But with two precise jumps, you can just make it over in basically a straight line. Here's just some tight corner cutting once again. And here we will turn around, because the other side is completely dark and it's easier to know where you are if you can see something. Jumping over this corner. And now for this part you're supposed to grab a light, which is on the left side, but with some memorization you can just make this without any light. Just like that. And similar with this part, you're supposed to grab this light and make it big to light up this next part, but this one is a lot easier. It's just a little bit dark. And that's pretty much all for this level. Now just moving to the end. Here's a little generator which we will activate so we can get some lights for these last few hallways. There you saw the paint canister on the floor. And now we have clone. So at this level, for most objects, if you grab them, they will clone. So that's interesting for sure, which you will see in a bit. I think this first door here is the only exception for this. I think all other objects are actually cloning once you grab them, but we need this door to activate this button. Then we jump over it so we don't get tripped up. Jump over here for, again, optimal movement. And we clone this door a few times so we can jump it up. And now we will do something like this alarm clock. We clone it and then look up, so we also resize it and make it big enough to get up there. Here we will do something similar like in the first level, where we make an object big enough so it activates the physics, and then we can move away other objects with it. And that way the door will open once the apple is off the button. Here we move backwards and then jump and clone, because that's slightly faster. Jumping up slopes again, and then jump over this thing. And here we just clone this sign in a certain way, so we get the perfect ramps to get up there. Jump over all the obstacles by making sure to have the most straight line to the next part. And that's the end of that level. Coming up we have Dollhouse, a very infamous level. It's probably the hardest level for most people, and it's where many runs die. This level uses a lot of the portals you've already seen, so you will see that in a bit. But first some tight corner cutting once again. And then we're here again. Same place as we usually are for every level. And here's this first dollhouse, which we'll just quickly resize once. And then we can go through. And then we will go out on the other side and resize it again precisely, because we need to have the right size to be able to make up this jump and also make it through this doorway. Because if you're too small, you will not make it up the table, and you will have to make a little detour to the left. And if you're too big, you will make it up, but you won't make it through the door. So here we skip a little bit of the staircase with this radio. And this fan we're going to resize here, so it has the perfect size, and we can just quickly rotate it towards us, so it blows the tower in our direction. Slightly failed this here, this wasn't optimal, but it's fine. I should also mention the size you have determines how fast or slow you are. So you always want to be as big as possible when going through a portal. Which can be tricky sometimes. So this bouncy castle, just resizing it again there, put it on this platform so we can go here. And here's some more portals where we grab this and put it in front of the keyhole, so while it's falling we can move through. Then grab this last dollhouse here and make it to the end. Upcoming is Labyrinth. Here's something interesting we will start off with, which is 2 dialogue skips. We will skip this first dialogue by making some parkour up here, and then we jump over it, and that way we skipped the first dialogue trigger. And we will now do something similar where we resize this can while we go to our destination, and then we can use it to jump up on this little speaker there and jump over the second trigger, dialogue trigger. So that way the first two dialogues don't have to play at all, and once we reach this elevator here, we can just wait for the very last dialogue, and once it's done we get teleported. I should also mention I have dialogues turned off completely just because it's annoying and it's not really needed. So here we aimed at a precise spot at the shadow of the fire extinguisher, and once you get teleported we can click right at the alarm clock. And now here again we look at the specific spot, so we can click the alarm clock, although I kind of failed it here, but that's fine. So once again, go here, and then once again, click here. And now one more time here. And then we grab this portal and resize it over the bed. Here we want to move in a straight line along the hallway, so we hit the trigger for the gravity changes as early as possible. We also want to grab this door as early as possible because we have to wait before we can interact with it again and go through. Jump over these things. And now here we will turn left and hold forward, so we move more towards the middle of the room where the staircase is. Then we just resize it so it activates the physics again, and we can go to this maze. Here we want to always move in a direction where the sign is pointing, the green one, but also look in the other direction quickly. So this is always the same. It's always the same pattern, so you can just memorize it, and it's pretty easy. Here, instead of using the cube to go up this first ledge, we just go on this thing on the side, then use the cube. Here we want to grab this cube as fast as possible because that will that will trigger the teleportation. Same with this cube. And once we click this clock, we are in this elevator maze, which again you can just memorize the pattern, and then you can do the same thing every time. Quickly move in and out and move to a specific spot. So we hit some triggers. Once we hit them, we move back, and once we hit the two triggers in the back, this little bedroom will spawn again in the middle, and then we can click the alarm clock again from very far away, like so, to get the transition into the next level. So this is the last level that's coming up. This one starts again with a portal. To grab and resize here, and then we grab this portal through this gap and put it into the portal. So that will trigger this animation, and here we can just wait for the animation to end. Once it's done, it will transition into the next part of the level. So this is just some parkour to kill some time. Before it ends though, we want to move in this corner, because that's slightly faster. Then we can already hold forward here. And go into this rather bizarre part of the level. So here's something that's coming up where we will respawn. Once this checkpoint hits, we will respawn to it, because when we enter this level, for some reason the game makes you slightly smaller. And when we reset at this checkpoint, we are back to the standard size, which is slightly bigger. So that way we move slightly faster as well. And that saves about 2 seconds for this entire level. Here we move slightly to the right because that triggers the transition faster. Move through the rain and through this hallway. And then here we turn around to get some momentum in the direction we want to go. Move sideways here. So we have the exit door in sight. Then we move straight towards this door here. And after a few seconds we turn around, grab this window which acts as a cube, and then place it at the right angle and in the right size so we can jump up there without any ledge grabs again, and move towards this light switch. Once we hit this, we will teleport again. And then we will move backwards, like so. And also we jump here because when we teleported there, the game takes away your cursor, and it will only come back if you jump or if you turn around. Now we have the chessboard coming up. So at the chessboard, basically every tile there is a pit going down, and it will only be a solid floor if a piece is standing on it. And you're supposed to use 2 pieces and put them over step by step, but we're just going to use 1 piece because that's faster. And with some precise jumping and placement of the piece, we can get over there. And here we're going to do something called cheese skip. You're supposed to use this box and a piece of cheese on the other side of the door, you can see to the right. But we can just use the box, do some box jumping, and get to this door. Here we just move down, try not to hit our head, go to a certain spot, which is always the same. And then we move slightly to the left to get to our final door. So once we are here, turn around and grab this wall so we can fall through, which marks the end of the level. And now for the very last level, it's a very short one, where you just have to click on an alarm clock again. And you can actually already do this after the loading text disappeared and while it's still dark. So you can be very fast with it. But that's obviously a little bit tricky. And I also didn't get this here, so you will see this alarm clock shortly. There it is. And then just click on it and that's it. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.